Tim Cook's Siri comments, are Apple routers making a comeback? And can AI really teach you a new language? This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by Clean My Mac Business. Try 14 days free for up to 30 devices at cleanmy.com/MacVoices Clean My Mac Business. That's CLMMY.com/MacVoices Clean My Mac Business. While all this has been going on, Apple did have a quarterly earnings call. And I wanted to bring this to your attention because, listen, the financial results were what they were. And there were a lot of warnings about tariffs and, the uncertainty about what Apple may or may not face coming down the road. But Tim, one journalist had to bring up, the Siri situation. And I thought Tim's response was really, really very good. And I threw the article in the chat rooms. You can take a look at it. If you're not listening to the earnings calls, that's another one I think, listen, especially after they give the actual results, because to listen to Tim manage things, I think is really interesting. Bottom line, he said, they have delivered a lot on Apple Intelligence and gave a lot of examples. He acknowledged that, I believe the term he used that was being used was personal Siri, that they still have work to do. So it just was I felt like it was a very balanced answer. Sure, it was a political answer because that's what you do on earnings calls. But I didn't feel like there were any real apologies. There was just an acknowledgement that it's not where it should be and to stay tuned. Did anybody else listen to the earnings call?
No, I read a lot of the transcript.
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to it. It was, embarrassed to say, but now I'm going to catch everyone. I thought it was going to be dry, and there were parts of it that I had to go back and check to better understand it after the fact. But there are parts like this response to Apple Intelligence that I thought was, you said somebody had to go there. I think yes, somebody had to go there. And I think Tim did a fairly good job in terms of responding to it. First by saying, these are the things that came out. These are the things that we haven't gotten to yet, but we're not going to release it without, we're not going to release those parts without it meeting up to our standards.
And that's something we've been saying. Marty, I think you were one of the ones that was saying it, that you want it to meet their standards. And if it's not there yet, then it shouldn't be released. So,
yeah.
I think you're being too kind.
Okay.
I credit Tim with crafting a really good, very professional answer. Well done, Tim. What it distills down to when you take it out of Tim Cook speak is we overpromised and underdelivered, and we still can't give you what we promised. I mean, that's it. With this one, Apple screwed up. They totally dropped the ball with the features that they were promising. They even went so far as to, and we've discussed this in past shows, so I won't go deep into it. They made commercials touting features that literally did not exist, and this has turned into a hot mess for them. And I'm surprised that they didn't get more questions about their failure to deliver on their AI promises. And I think that they should have been really called to task on that failure. But Tim's answer was a good, appropriate, and well-measured corporate speak answer. So he did well there.
Mark, last word on this.
Yeah. So building on what Jeff is saying, I've been through companies where they've had, software as part of a product, and it invokes all sorts of revenue recognition issues. In that case, the solution was the software is just given away, and it's not essential to the operation of the product, which is one of the things that ties into revenue recognition. So I think that Apple, yes, they're in hot water here, but from my perspective, I think it was just sort of corporate hubris. I don't think it was malintent. It was just corporate hubris, on their part. And to me, again, it's a dangerous part of their culture. Is WTF? Were they introducing and showing stuff that didn't exist except in a demo? I mean, for that, everyone from, and this is the Warren Buffett quote. Tim should be very mindful of the fact, like Warren said, it takes a lifetime to build a good reputation, and you can ruin it in a few minutes. Well, I think Apple, again, has done a lot of reputational damage to themselves, which, as people have said, it may or it may not catch up with them. But, I think that's just like, corrosion and tooth decay over time that, Apple is slowly getting, sorts of, more and more ill will collectively. And, it's totally unnecessary. And, yes, Tim gave a good answer. He pointed out that, yes, they did. They basically delivered everything they said except a more personalized Siri. But guess what? That was the hotness in, their, demo last year. So, I'm frankly surprised that they didn't get more scrutiny about that, especially since there are class action suits against them.
No, that class action suits against everything. Jeff is having his own little conversation with the chat room. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, they're on my side. It's awesome.
Yeah, me too. We'll write this down on your calendar.
Right? I need my red pen.
Dennis Sellers posted this article to Apple World today. Excuse me. I'm reading the wrong one. That there's a new petition asking for Apple to resume updates for his discontinued airport routers. Speaking of nostalgia and speaking of, looking backwards, It's like, how many years have they been gone? We're now into an era of, and there's Mark holding one up. I mean, listen, I know plenty of people that still have them. They still work great. As from a Wi-Fi standpoint, I am not enough of a router geek to know whether they. What are you doing, Eric?
He's fine.
Eric is caressing and fondling his. I don't know his router. Let me be clear on that.
Mine's in my basement where it belongs, in a box somewhere.
Mine got recycled.
I don't know if these could be updated to be secure in today's world. I absolutely am not enough of a router geek. I'd love to see Apple get back into it because I felt like their hardware was really good. Their software for it was really good. But, just to quote Mark, the world has moved on. So, we'll see.
Chuck, as much as I love airport routers and exclusively use them for a long time, and as much as I would love to see Apple produce one again, I don't see it happening. No. And I don't see it happening because there are companies that came along like Eero. That made the product that at the time everyone was like, oh, Apple should have done this. Well, they didn't. And these other companies, they went beyond what Apple was doing at the time. Apple could have matched that. But Apple has this long-standing thing that we've heard over and over throughout the years, which is if we can't bring something unique to a product, into a product space, then we shouldn't be there. And right now, there's nothing Apple can really do that would justify getting back into the Wi-Fi router space, because they're not going to be able to offer anything that goes beyond what companies like Eero are already doing. Sure, you can say, yeah, but they can build in all this great HomeKit and Matter stuff right into their base stations. who cares? That's not the thing that would set their product apart. So as much as we would all love to see a new Airport Express, Airport Extreme, whatever, I don't see that there's any value for Apple in getting back into that space.
Times have changed. That's
Yep.
definitely Eero, Netgear, D-Link, all those big router companies
Orbi.
out there now. Orbi.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many. I mean, Eero alone. I mean, when Amazon bought them, I mean, a number of us here have the Eero. I love the Eero system. I don't want to. I would never switch it again. I mean, yeah, granted, yeah, it's not the hardcore like our friend Dave Hamilton who wants some hardcore router setting access, but it just does the job. It makes it easy, and you know, I just don't think Apple ever wants to go into this market again. They just don't. I'm not going to reiterate what you said, Jeff, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and unfortunately, if Apple does offer something proprietary, somebody will sue, like Sweeney, who wants access to it. So it's
There we go. Spring back to Epic, Eric.
Well, at some point, I'm still fascinated by this whole thing that everybody deserves to have access to things I make and I build because, well, that's just the way it should be.
Yeah.
No. Today's Mac Voices is supported by Clean My Mac Business. Try 14 days free of Clean My Mac Business for up to 30 devices at cleanmy.com/MacVoices Clean My Mac Business. Clean My Mac Business is the smarter way to keep every Mac in your workplace running like new. Think of it as your IT sidekick, but automated. Whether you're managing 6 Macs or 60, Clean My Mac Business helps you monitor, clean, and secure them all from a single intuitive dashboard. Free up space across your fleet with a powerful disk cleaner that wipes away junk files, caches, and hidden app leftovers. Keep your team protected with built-in malware detection from Moonlock, MacPaw's own cybersecurity lab, because good work needs a clean system and a secure one. It also handles patch management, tracking outdated apps, and helping your users stay current, so you're never left vulnerable because someone skipped an update. And with application controls, you can see exactly what's installed on each machine and push changes when needed. Best of all, no steep learning curve. Start with just 6 devices and scale effortlessly. Clean My Mac Business adapts to your team, not the other way around. Try it for free for 14 days for up to 30 devices at cleanmy.com/MacVoices Clean My Mac Business. That's clnmy.com/MacVoices Clean My Mac Business. Thanks to Clean My Mac Business for supporting Mac Voices. I'm really curious to see what your thoughts are. Duolingo has indicated they will replace contract workers with AI for content creation. And so this seems like the worst nightmare of a lot of people, where people's jobs are going to be turned over to AI. Is this as big a deal as it will be made? Mark?
So this is the most latest of a story going back maybe 18 months or so of Duolingo that they've been talking about, wanting to embrace and use AI, for some of the language modules and things. So, it is just a continuation. And, I think that, yes, in many ways, this shows that if the value you as a human bring, does not surpass what a large language model can do, you're going to be in danger, and, if they're doing it, so again, a lot of people, so I've invested in Duolingo in the past. I don't own it now, but, they had a lot of popularity for a lot of their language learning apps, and, they started to expand that they can do other educational, type of tasks. And, some of that is I mean, it's pretty rote, it's not really super analytic. So it's not surprising that they were going to try to downsize and improve efficiency using LLMs, especially as they try to grow and address a global marketplace. So I think really what this shows is that if you don't know how to use AI tools, you may be at danger of being replaced by one of them. And again, especially here, because a lot of this is language or basic introductory math and other skills, does not require a high degree of reasoning and other logical completeness and proficiency. So, I'm not surprised at this actually.
With me working, I work in the corporate world. I'm seeing it already, but I'm going to be training on it. So I'm going to be training people, showing people. In my case, Copilot. I've really started to, thanks to Marty and getting me really heavy into ChatGPT. I'm all in on this. I can't see how Duolingo can do something like this without to have some input from an employee, somebody who's doing all this information. I mean, I use ChatGPT daily. I mean, anything I want to find out, I'm learning as I go with that. I use Copilot quite a bit of times during the work hours and during my day job. I don't see it replacing employees, at least not right now. I mean, you got to have people to have the mindset that we can actually enter this information. Duolingo being, translating to different languages. How can that happen without you want to have the automated AI? Maybe. I just don't see it at least happening for a while. If it could, I don't know. It's really hard to say. That's my comment.
Okay. Let's see, Jeff.
So I've been considering using Duolingo to start learning other languages. But when I heard the announcement that they were going to do this, I questioned whether or not I should do that, because LLMs and AI in general can't yet really grasp context in language the way that humans can. So if you want to teach someone a foreign language where they're actually going to be able to speak it conversationally, you need to be able to teach them context, and you need humans for that right now. If you want to teach someone words, okay, an LLM can totally manage that and do it very effectively. But for someone like me who's like, yeah, I just want to learn a language so that I can speak the same language as a large portion of my community, I need to know more than just words. I need to know how to construct sentences in a way that other people are going to understand. I need to be able to understand context for the translations. I am not confident that using AI to teach me that is actually going to accurately give me the education that I need. Therefore, I question whether or not I should use Duolingo in the future. But I also totally get that what's happening with AI in general, I mean, it's always improving, it's always evolving. So at some point, we probably will hit a level where I can feel comfortable that an AI system can effectively teach me how to communicate clearly and correctly, conversationally with other people. I just don't think we're there yet.
Okay. Let's see, Marty.
Yeah, and I'm thought about this, that most people don't want Jeff's standards. They just want to get around. And it doesn't have to be accurate. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to, and generally in a foreign country, get you from one location to another and do some simple niceties. And although I don't understand the depths of the context, most people when dealing with someone from another country attempting to speak their language are forgiving. I think it'll only get better. Everything's getting better, so that's kind of a stupid statement right there. Well, most things are getting better. But with LLMs, I think as they get more contextual and get some understanding of context, it'll get to the point where people will be using that more than the traditional methods that we have for teaching language. Take that, my high school German teacher. I've waited like 45 years to be able to have an automated system that does all of this stuff for me.
Marty, I never studied a foreign language in high school at all. So I've never had a formal class on foreign language. When I went to Italy several years ago, I picked up on Italian very quickly because I had no preconceived notions of how you're supposed to learn a language. And so that whole immersive thing worked so well for me. And anyhow, that's what I want. I want an immersive experience where I can learn the language conversationally. And but I totally appreciate that I'm a prima donna and that I'm not using this product in the same way that the majority of people are going to use it.
Yeah, I appreciate your context. When I went to Turkey, I learned conversational Turkey by watching American-made films with Turkish dubbing with American subtitles on it. And that was the conversational language that I was able to pick up.
Nice.
Congratulations, Marty. That's great.
But
did they bring you gunpowder instead of a ham sandwich?
I took 4 years of high school French. I can still read some of it. I've lost some of the vocabulary. Speaking is a real problem. The most I could do is get my face slapped. So
I took 4 years of high school German and did so well I placed into the first semester of college German and wound up taking another 4 semesters of it. Now when I go to Turkey and people start talking to me in Turkish, I start thinking in German, which is really kind of strange.
yeah, that's
There's some similarities in the sentence structure between both languages, but
yeah, they say that's when you really have learned the language, when you start to think in it. Eric, you get the last word.
I'm sure the embracing of AI is going to work really well. It probably will demo well. It will work well until something goes wrong, and I just hope that the people that they don't have available to them are they may be the ones that they really need badly if something happens. I think there just are too many cases where CEO jumps in and says, "Yep, we're going to jump on the AI bandwagon. It's going to save us so much money, and it's going to cover all of these different things, and it sounds good and it looks good." And then they go to implement it, and then they're surprised by something unusual. It can be good. I hope it goes well. I just sometimes worry that if something doesn't go well, it's hard to recover because you've lost your people that could fix it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Eric. And the article makes it sound like it's a black and white thing. I got to believe that there are parts of it that can be done very well with AI. There are other parts, almost to Jeff's point, that you really need some of the context and you need some other things. And to your point, to make sure that the AI is doing it right. So, yeah, we shall see. Okay, Mark, you got a minute and a half. 2 jokes.
Okay, a minute and a half. I'll make this serious. So one thing is, on YouTube, if you look, there's all sorts of historical classical music performances, and you see comments in Russian and in Korean or Japanese or French or Spanish, etc., as well as English. And YouTube now has a translate button. If you click that, it translates it, which is obviously all done by some sort of trained LLM. And you read them, and they make sense. They're not sort of stupid translations. So a lot of these language tools are getting really good. And I really haven't used Translate on my iPhone as much as maybe other people here on the panel have, if at all. And then the other thing is sort of just talking about sort of dumbness of translation and cross-cultural things is remember I know some people on this panel are old enough to remember back when they had the Chevy Nova. Well, in Spanish, Nova, it means no va. Va means to go. It means not go. So obviously, it was a cultural failure, and no one in the U.S. or Latin America would buy that because it just had a completely stupid name that that demeaned the product.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here because we're way over time, but I appreciate everyone sticking around, both the panel and the folks in the chat. A lot of good comments going on in there right now. Let's go around the room, let folks know where they can find you, and then we'll get out of here. So I want to flip it around. Jeff Gamet, where can folks connect with you?
When I'm not doing voiceover work for Chuck, you can find me on social media as Jay Gamet. I'm mostly on Mastodon and PixelFed and Blue Sky right now. Then for shows, Chuck, thank you for letting me join in on MacVoices Live. Dave lets me join in on In Touch with iOS. And for the British Tech Network, The Big Show and The Mac Show, Brian Chaffin and I do The Context Machine, and Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it, as always. Jim Ray, I'm telling you look like you've been meditating throughout this entire episode. I like it. You just very zen. Where can folks connect with you?
I'm glad the place where it froze I wasn't making some weird face.
I'm kind of sorry that it didn't happen that way, but I'm evil.
You can find me on Mastodon at ProViewJim, ProVueJim, at techhub.social.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you being here. Eric Bolden. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to say, where can folks? I was trying to get the great egret in there, and it's like, no, I'm not going to do it. Where can folks find you?
Well, let's see. Mondays with Marty on the Vision Profiles podcast. Marty, you just do that so much better than I do. I just Tuesdays here, sometimes Thursdays with In Touch with iOS. Otherwise, I am out with the birds or on Mastodon at EA Bolden at techhub.social.
Thank you, Eric. Web Bixby in the chat room made a comment that really deserves to be shared. He said, Jim never looked so good.
Great.
He really is Zen.
Mark Fuccio, thank you for all your comments. Where can folks connect with you?
In the physical world, about 2 miles southwest of the center of Apple's spaceship. Or you can find me at X or LinkedIn at Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Marty Jencius, since you do it so well, according to Eric, where can folks find you?
Well, I tell you, Eric and I have been doing the show on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time for a year now, weekly, and I have no regrets of working with Eric.
Oh, put that going.
Where's the rim shot, Dave? Where's the rim shot?
There you go.
Oh, Marty, that was foul.
Oh,
No.
You can find me at Jencius. Jencius at mastodon.social or Jencius at Blue Sky. And then Mondays with Eric, Tuesdays here with Chuck and the gang, and I just love it so much doing this. And then Thursdays with Dave on In Touch with iOS, occasionally on the Mac Show, which is fun on Friday. But you want to know what other projects I'm into, look at thepodtalk.net.
Yes, I was going to pull mine, but
Webb is not here tonight, so I'm filling in. So, last but absolutely not least, our in-house drummer, Dave Ginsburg. Dave, where can we find you?
It's those magic pads. What can I say?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, as always. You can find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com, YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm here on Tuesdays. I'm on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays, and on Blue Sky, Mastodon, and many other places. But those are two places I focus on most, is at Dave G65. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Good to have you as always. Yes. Once again, a special thanks to the chat room for all their comments and everything. Really, really appreciate you being here and sharing in with this discussion, because it's always great. And I will say this again. I love the fact that the panel does not agree with each other. This is not an echo chamber. Sometimes it might seem like our discussions get a little heated. We're all still friends, and that's the beauty of MacVoices Live. We do this every Tuesday night. We hope you will continue to join us at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV at 8 p.m. Eastern. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.